Hi everyone, it's Christy here from KP Creatives with another video for two scrapbook friends. Today we are going to be swatching out some alcohol inks. I have added these alcohol inks that you see here to my collection recently. Two Scrapbook Friends has updated their stock of alcohol inks, so this is a great time to stock up. And one of the things I like to do first when I get new products is swatch them out. So I have some Yupo paper. I'm using the Yupo white cardstock. It comes in packages of 5x7 sheets. You get 10 sheets in a package. I like to use one of my nested tag die sets. You can use whatever tag die sets you have. There's some available, I believe, from Tailored Expressions. You can get them from many of the different companies that Two Scrapbook Friends stocks regularly. So find a nested tag set that works for you. You can use your die cutting machine to cut out your tags, and then you are all set to start swatching. It's always a great idea to create your swatches using the type of paper that you are going to be crafting on most often. So with alcohol inks, I use the Tim Holtz Yupo paper from Ranger. I find I get really good results with that. Yupo paper is a synthetic paper, so it has plastic in it. You can heat emboss on it, and you can do all kinds of great techniques with it. I recommend testing it out first because it is different than regular cardstock. So you want to test it and get to know it as you're working with it. So I'm also using the alcohol ink blower tool from Ranger. This is a great tool to get some movement in your alcohol inks, and you'll see that in action in a little bit. And the only other thing I have that we're going to use today is isopropyl alcohol. This is from the drugstore. It is, I believe, the 91% isopropyl alcohol. You can use 70 or above. I know Carolyn showed using alcohol spray recently in a video that I think she picked up from the dollar store for help with cleaning some of your tools. So this is a little bit different. I just bought a big bottle from the drugstore and poured the liquid into one of these great squeeze bottles. You can get them on the online store from Lavinia Stamps or Gina K. I think they stock these now as well at Two Scrapbook Friends. So different options for a little squeeze bottle. I love this one because it has a really fine applicator tip. So let's get started. I'm going to start with Shell Pink. Let's open up the alcohol ink. These are regular alcohol inks by Ranger. If we were using pearls, we would shake the heck out of these before we would start swatching, but they are regular, so you don't have to, you won't hurt it by shaking it, but you don't have to. So I'm going to take the isopropyl alcohol. I'm just going to put a little bit down onto the Yupo paper, and then I'm going to put a few drops of the Shell Pink. Now the purpose of swatches is to get to know your materials, get to know the colors that they make, get to know how they move on the different substrates and paper that you use. And especially with alcohol inks, it's good to swatch them because it's something that you can actually get a lot of different colors out of by just using one color. So we're going to move this Shell Pink around. You can see this is a really delicate rose pink. I really like that color. Just going to add a little bit more of the isopropyl, and we're going to get a little more of the Shell Pink going on down in this swatch here. So again, I like to have swatches handy so that I can hold things like my cardstock or pattern paper up against my swatches. I can hold this against ink swatches to see what is going to go together in my projects, whether that's cards or scrapbook pages or whatever the case might be. So I'm just blowing this around here, and I think this looks good. We've got a great range to be able to see what that Shell Pink color is going to look like. I'm just going to come from above and use the blower quite forcefully so that I'm setting the ink where it is. The alcohol inks dry really fast, so we are going to set this aside to dry, but just giving it a few good puffs of air are really going to set that ink. Like I can touch right here and it's, I think there's one part that was still a little tacky, but for the most part, it is very nearly dry. So let's set that one aside. I'm going to close that up. I'm going to put it together, otherwise I'm going to forget which color that is. And we're going to move on to our next color, which is this nice rich red called Poppy Field. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to get some of that isopropyl down on the swatch, a few drops of Poppy Field, and we're going to start to see what this one looks like. Really lovely, rich red. Oh, that's awesome. I was really missing almost a true red in my alcohol ink collection. I had really deep reds that had tones of blues and purples in them, but I was missing like a true red to be able to use on projects, well, any project, but some holiday projects. I really like to have that true red color. So we'll just get this moving around a little bit, and I think I actually might leave that one just as it is. So you can see how you can get the lightness right down to this really dark, rich color. So there's so many different ways your alcohol inks are going to move when you use either the isopropyl or the blending solution that's available from Ranger. I'm not going to use that on my swatches because I'm not blending anything together. I just want to get movement. So I'm just going to stick with the isopropyl for this swatch activity. So I'm moving on to the oranges here. This is Valencia. Really rich orange. Beautiful. When I'm working with alcohol inks, I like to put a piece of paper towel under the Yupo paper. I just find it keeps my work surface a little bit more tidy. It makes it easier cleanup at the end. And the paper towel soaks in any of the excess alcohol ink that the blower tool pushes off. And I absolutely love how that swatch turned out. Sometimes I wish my swatches were actual cards or tags I could use on projects because I really like how that one turned out. So let's stop there and move on to this next orange, which is called Sunset Orange. Same drill. Squeeze on the isopropyl, and we've got a few drops of Sunset Orange. And you can see this one has a lot more brown tones, almost a rust color compared to that Valencia. So really awesome variation in this color palette that's available in the alcohol inks. You know, some people, I know not you guys because you're crafters, so you would never say like, oh, orange is orange, because, you know, we know all the complexities of the colors in the different materials that we work with. But, you know, you can really see, like, just, I'm going to bring back that Valencia for a second. Look at the difference in these two. So cool. So you can see this one, the Sunset Orange has a much more of a rust tint, whereas the Valencia has a more red orange. So cool. So you can get so many different results and colors. And then once you start blending these together, like sky is the limit. So I'm going to put down some more isopropyl as we move on to Sunshine Yellow. So we just had Sunset Orange. We're moving on to Sunshine Yellow. Getting a nice deep yellow. This would be great mixed with some different greens, I think. Probably really nice losing my train of thought here. Probably really nice to blend it with the Sunset Orange as well. Okay, so I am really liking the different gradient that we're seeing in that tag, so we will stop there. So you can see how fast these come together if you just keep it simple and play around. And again, if you are new to alcohol inks, this swatching is an awesome activity to get used to them. I'm kind of motoring through these because it's the same drill for all of them. We're moving on to Willow here. So really deep, dark green, great for any forest scenes. I would love to use this Willow on a background and then stamp in black ink some trees. I think that would look so cool. So I'll have to keep that in mind for later projects. You can see this green is, you know, muted, but look at those brown tones that are coming out. You can also see some very faint blue tones as well. Let me hold that up so you can see that a little better. Really awesome to just see all the different colors that go into one when we're working with these inks. So let's move on to another green here. We've got Limeade. This will be a really bright green. Definitely different than the Willow. The Willow was much more muted, but this Limeade, wow, looks like green jello in alcohol ink form. I haven't had green jello in ages, but that is definitely what this Limeade reminds me of. So just going to keep the blower moving it around. You can see there is not a science to using this blower tool. You just kind of move it around. And with alcohol inks, if we were using this to make like actual card projects, you know, you can keep adding isopropyl around the edges to get some wispiness to the edges so it's not as harsh as that. But this is just swatches. We want to see what the variation in those colors are so that we can use them on any projects that we've got coming up. I'm going to change out my paper towel here. Get this one in the garbage. We'll start fresh as we move on to the blues. First blue up is called Cloudy Blue. We've got our isopropyl on the tag, a few drops of Cloudy Blue, and here we go. Let's get some movement. If we were looking for distress inks or distress oxides to go along with this, I think we would definitely be looking at Stormy Sky. That would be awesome. Can you see some of the light purples that are coming out of this color? So awesome. This would be great with like milled lavender or Victorian velvet. Even some of the light pinks. That's really cool. I hope the camera's picking up all the different tones in that color. So the swatch is still a little wet, but I love that you can see the variation in those colors. So I'm actually going to leave it and it will dry as is. Okay, we are getting close to the home stretch here. We've got a couple in the teal category and then we'll move on to the deep blue and purple. Right now we're going to switch over to Mermaid. Love these teal colors. Can't get enough of the teal color. I think they just bring so much joy to people, remind them of vacation and the sea or the ocean. Such great memories. And I just, wow, love the brightness. But I do think these colors in that teal section of the rainbow really bring people a lot of joy. And I just love that color. So this again is Mermaid. Push that around a little. That looks great. And then we're going to move on to turquoise. Now, when I'm finished swatching, I like to just take a Sharpie or any type of permanent marker and write on the back of the swatch what the color is. You could print off labels and stick them on the front if you want. You could probably write on the front, but I just like to stick it on the back because when I'm flipping through them, I want to concentrate on the color. So look at that turquoise. Isn't that like, what a great sky blue for any of your backgrounds. And if you were using this blower tool to blow things around, it actually looks like clouds already in the sky. So cool. Or you could use this as, you know, a pool or water, lake in your scene. So awesome. Yeah, that turquoise is actually a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more teal, because it's not too far off that mermaid in terms of the label, but really looks different in real life when you start playing around with it. So again, that's why it's good to swatch it out. So let's move on to Indigo. Get our alcohol down. A few drops of Indigo. And let's see what we get here. Really rich blues and purples. Wow. I'm actually going to put a little bit more alcohol down because I want to get this really dark section in the middle. I want to get that moving a little. So I'm going to squirt some of that isopropyl alcohol down, and that's going to allow us to get some really nice movement. Yeah, so you can see a little bit, some purples coming through on this color. Again, that spot down in this corner is a little heavy, so I'm just going to keep adding the other alcohol and blowing this around here to break that up a little bit. Move things. There we go. So you can see, you can almost get like a really light, faint purple if you really work at getting at all those different undertones of the indigo. So that's amazing. That is using one color. So awesome. And that's why I love alcohol inks. You could be making backgrounds and just use one color and you get this just amazing work of art on your projects. So now I've got a purple here called Purple Twilight. I think there's actually, on the Ranger website, I think it's on the Ranger website, you can see different trios of alcohol inks. And I believe the Sunshine Yellow, Sunset Orange, and Purple Twilight are ones that they recommend going together. So that's something, if you were looking to try a few out, you could try those three together and see what you can do with some of your blending. So look at all the light blue tones in this Purple Twilight that we pick up as we blow things around here. I'm going to leave that one as is. Fantastic variation. Set that up. We've got two left. We're going to go with Latte first. And then I think that last one is called Terracotta. So let's start with Latte. I know a lot of you have different stamp sets or pattern papers that are coffee related or tea related, some type of caffeinated beverage, hot chocolate maybe, hot cocoa. This would be a great color to make some backgrounds, and then you could stamp in the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, or you could emboss your stamped images, because look at this beautiful creamy latte color. Gorgeous. It's subtle, so beautiful. Some tones of like a darker brown throughout, but wow, that is gorgeous. Almost a light orange through this color as well. Beautiful. Okay, last, oh, I just got some of the, oh darn. I got some of the blue. So let me do a couple things here. Stick with me here for a second. Let's get that old paper towel out of the way. I'm going to show you, let's see if this works here, a little trick that if you get color that you do not want on your Yupo paper, if you put some of that isopropyl alcohol on your paper, and then I'm going to take another piece of paper towel and literally wipe it off, I think I'll be able to get most of that blue that landed on there off. And again, these are just swatches, so this is not the end of the world by any means, but it mostly comes off. You can see there's a little hint of that blue still there, but that's okay. Again, these are just swatches. It's fine. But it did take away most of it, so that's good. All right, so we've got our last one here. Getting that alcohol down, we're going to go in with some drops of terracotta. And you can see I've gone really between 3 and 4 drops for pretty much all of these swatches. So it does not take a lot to get some fantastic colors of your alcohol inks. They go a long way. They last a long time. A great investment in your collection. So this terracotta is absolutely gorgeous. Fabulous rich color. Actually wasn't expecting this. I thought this would be kind of a lighter, more like a traditional clay pot kind of color. But wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And we're going to start to get these lined up so you can see how they all turned out. So it's going to take some I should have been more mindful of this as I was setting these up, but I think we will be able to make this work. So we started out with Shell Pink. Then we went on to Poppy Field. We tried out Valencia. Then we went to the Sunset Orange. I'm going to try and get those oranges together so you can see the difference. Then we have Sunshine Yellow. I do have a little bit of red up in the corner there, so I'll fix that later. Just again by squirting that alcohol down. We've got Willow, Limeade, bringing back some of that lime jello. Then we have, starting into the blues, we've got Cloudy Blue, Mermaid, Turquoise, Indigo. Then our last few here, Purple Twilight, Latte, and terracotta. So I hope this inspires you to take a look at whatever products you have in your stash. Doesn't have to be alcohol inks, but really the value of swatching them out. I find especially with alcohol inks, it's a good thing to do because let's use this Cloudy Blue as the example. If you saw this on the shelf, you saw this bottle, you may not know all of the different colors that you could get out of this Cloudy Blue. Again, you could use this as a sky if you play around using the alcohol ink blower tools, or you wanted to use, you know, the Ranger heat tool or a heat gun. If you have 2 settings and one of them is really low, you could probably push the inks around using that. You'd look like a cloudy sky already on your own. You wouldn't have to do anything else to your background except stamp on your sentiments or add a sentiment label to it, whatever you like. So I really like to swatch things out so that I can get that sense of it as I'm using my products. So once these dry, I will put these on a standard ring that you can get at Staples. That's how I swatch all of my items, except for some I put in 2x2 little pockets. Those is what I usually do for regular inks. But for alcohol inks and Nuvo drops, I definitely go the ring route. I think it's really easy to pick them up and hold them against other things. So I hope this inspired you to get to know your products a little bit more. Definitely try out the alcohol inks. Check out the amazing selection of colors that are currently available at Two Scrapbook Friends. And I really hope you'll have some fun playing around with these on the different types of Yupo paper that are available. So thanks for sticking with me through this swatch video. I hope you'll have some fun with alcohol inks. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.